Make sure that you take a look at the obesity video. If I were you, I would pause right now, watch the video, and then come back to the PowerPoint video. Mental health is also important in early childhood. There are behavioral, cognitive, and social emotional components to mental health. Are individuals able to behave according to cultural standards? 1 out of 5 suffer from some mental disturbance in early childhood. And 10% of all children and adolescents suffer from serious emotional disturbance, and there are various causes: genetic causes, chemical imbalances, injury, viruses, environmental causes such as abuse, stress, loss of a loved one, parents, divorce. In early childhood, ADHD is a really common disorder, mental health disorder, and it causes children to be highly distractible, very energetic, and it's hard for them to regulate their attention. They are way more impulsive and they're super hyperactive. They struggle to sit down, to be still, to behave. Again, they are struggling to fit the social norms of what we would expect a child to be able to do in a preschool or kindergarten classroom. Often these problems are diagnosed around school age because that's when we're expecting children to sit down and be still and behave. It can be treated with medication. However, the medication is very effective. It's capable of altering cognition and behavior, but the medication is often not tested on children. So again, we're kind of looking at the art of deciding what's a good dosage for young children at the age of 3, 4, or 5. Also, the number one cause of death for children and adolescents is accidents. So, again, if you're under the age of 18, the number one thing that can cause you to die would be a motor vehicle accident, accidental drowning, accidental poisoning, accidental fire, or burn. These accidents are all 100% preventable through supervision. However, again, it's the number one cause of death. It's important to have clean drinking water. Watch what children are putting in their mouth. Keep them away from fecal matter of pets because, they will, again, put everything in their mouth as they are developing and understanding what everything is. So in terms of cognitive development, we talked about Piaget's stages of cognitive development. The second stage, the first one, if you remember, is the sensory motor. The second one is the preoperational stage. And these are the things that young children do when they begin to use mental imagery, but they don't have logic yet. So they're pretty much using their intuition and their mental imagery to make a guess. They're internalizing their environment. They're using symbols and mental images. They're pretty inflexible. They're not able to take different people's points of view. Their thoughts are very tied to their own perceptions. If they see it a certain way, they expect that that's what it is, and that's the way that everyone will see it. The way things appear is the way they are, right? So as adults, we know that because something looks a certain way does not mean that it is that way. So again, if you look at an apple and you're like, oh, this apple looks good, but you cut into it and it's rotten. As adults, we understand that, oh, something can look one way, but actually be another. Children don't understand that yet. And lastly, egocentrism limits their understanding of the world to their own perceptions. Please take a pause and watch the video on YouTube. It is very important and will help you understand inflexibility and egocentrism. The next features of preoperational thought are centering. This limits information processing to one characteristic rather than several simultaneously. So children cannot take into account something's size and its weight and its depth. They are only able to look at one aspect of a problem. If something is wider, then it must be bigger, not taking into consideration length and depth and all different aspects of a problem. Irreversibility is the inability of young children to comprehend that processes or operations can be reversed. So that subtraction is the reverse of addition. If a young child is a girl, they realize that they have a younger brother. But if you are asking them, okay, does your brother have a sister? They would say no, because they can't reverse that action to realize that if my brother has a sister, yes, he does, because I'm the sister. So it's hard for them to reverse operations. Also, conservation is a really big deal, and it's understanding that the essential characteristics of something are preserved, even though it's arranged in different ways. Again, please take time to watch the video link. It's really important. Um, for conservation, children are unable to grasp that when we place an item in a different container, that it may look different, but that essentially it maintains the same properties. Lastly, classification, animism. Um, these two are other features of preoperational development. Animism is the belief that everything is alive. So kids may feed their dolls or feed their stuffed animals and may blame things on their stuffed animals that they themselves actually did. Classification is the cognitive ability to group objects according to similar traits or likenesses. This is a rate achieved around age 6. So you're going to have a homework assignment, a discussion forum that asks you to talk about pre-causal thinking. And pre-causal thinking is essentially logic that's unique to young children that's based on intuition versus fact. So intuition, they're pretty much guessing based on the general superficial features of an item.